Hey everybody, I got a new microphone for audio, so the audio hopefully will be better. If it fails, I'll go back to using my laptop to record audio. Anyways, gonna play some more classical chess on Lichess with the white pieces. I am a d4 player. I initially played with e4 when I was starting out, and I started playing d4 openings so I could expand my repertoire, and then I never looked back. Alright, so in this position, with the fianchetto, I like playing the bishop here. I have the option of playing queen d2. I usually play queen c2, but if I play queen d2, we can always take off the bishop. Let's go for that. Mix it up a little bit. See how my opponent responds, maybe with rook e8. So one thing I'm thinking about is where I want to put my e-pawn. In the King's Indian, it usually ends up on e4. My opponent is allowing me both of my plans. Take the bishop off. Can't really play e4 right now, actually, but I could take the knight and then play e4. So in a sense I could play either plan. Yeah, I'm not going to chop the knight off. I think I will go with this. Leave his dark squares weak around his king. So this is how I will use my extra move out of the opening. As white, playing first, you have the tempo up, and I will no longer be the tempo up, having played my bishop both to g5 and h6. But I'll have achieved something. I'll have gotten rid of his bishop, which is gluing his position together, sort of the mortar between the bricks here. I don't need to take immediately, but if I want to play e3, I do have to take immediately. So I will. We're not going to be playing e4. This isn't the classical system. This is more of a just more of a standard setup with the pawns on the dark squares in the center. No dark square bishop to get trapped behind them or to get stuck on the outside. Alright, so knight's coming here possibly. My rook here. The rook belongs on c1 in this type of opening. There's no dark square bishop to pin my knight to the queen or the king. And I'm just going to comfortably play a3, making my opponent wonder why they played knight to b4. So I've worked up a nice extra minute and counting on the clock. Not that it's too relevant at this point in the game, but later on I'll be happy I did that. My bishop is probably going to play to e2. I don't know if I want to play a3 right away or just develop. My knight on f3 is watching over the center. And what does that mean, some people may ask? Well, what that means is, now that he played c5, and if he takes, I can take back with my knight. Which is why knights are good there. Alright, so we're going to kick the knight immediately since he lashed out at me. Play on the wing. I'm going to maintain this dark square here. I'm not going to push the pawn. I think that would be a strategic error. Fixing his pawns on the correct color for his bishop. And yeah, he took. Got to take back with the knight now. Can't take his knight because then he'll take my knight with an attack on my queen, being up a pawn. So once again, now I'm threatening to take the knight, and I'm looking at this bishop too. So I think my opponent played a few inaccuracies. Nothing major, I'm sure. So I'm going to take this bishop, just opening his king up some more. So I lost a decent bishop, but his life wasn't in vain. He supported a good cause, and that cause was opening up the opponent's king. So now, how do I best exploit this position? I think the obvious move is to play my bishop to d3. There's a few reasons I shouldn't play that. Namely that he can push this pawn, and I'm reducing my pressure on the d-file. Not that that's too relevant, but more relevant is that he can attack my bishop on e5 and put a good knight there. Having the bishop against the knight, I can't be opposed to having open lines, open positions. Queen e2 is okay. Trying to wriggle onto the king's side. Part of me wants to play f4, yeah, leaving this pawn weak. He's in no position to attack though, and I can get my queen involved that way with check. Do I need to commit to that? If I play that pawn forward, I'm also discouraging. We're going to it because I'm also discouraging e5 from him. Not preventing, but discouraging. So I guess the justification for playing f4 is that his king is weak. Now I do need to develop some more possibly. I might have an attack without castling. These pawns are doing a good job keeping his c-knight out of the game. So my queen's coming to f2. Have some juicy squares, g3 with check, or maybe even better, h4. Maybe better, not sure. Is my h-pawn gonna move? I mean, I need to get my rooks playing. Alright, so he's found a way to put pressure on e3. I'm gonna go forth with this. No fear. Knight here. I play queen to g3. Pinning the knight. Oh no, because then queen takes, then I take, then knight takes. So that's no good. So if he plays knight here, goodness, maybe I played that too quick. Alright. Either way, if he does play knight there, I could counterattack his queen with my knight. So I think I luckily have that. I was not paying attention. I should not have allowed that. But if knight here, I think I luckily have knight to d5. So he didn't see that, thank goodness. So now, still I think I play knight to d5. Trying to get rid of this defensive knight. Forcing his queen to make a decision. If his knight takes, I take with the pawn and I have the c-file for my rook, opening up my bishop. So should I start with bishop here? No, I still have to do something about his knight. I'm going to do this, because that knight, I cannot let it come here. does come here, I take the queen, he takes my queen. Then I take the rook, maybe. He takes my rook. That could get dicey. Then I come back to c7. It looks like a roughly even position from that point. If he plays... Yeah, if he plays knight to either g4 or e4, it might transpose into that line. Good news is I am attacking his e-pawn. A smart idea probably might be to keep the queens on if he takes... Or basically, let me put it this way. If he allows me to, I could play b4, queen b2. Sneaking my queen back over to the queen side, taking advantage of his king on h8, which is barely safer than on the g-file. Barely safer. I say barely because he's still exploitable, just not immediately exploitable as he was when I could play queen to g3. Of course, queen g3 was kind of an empty threat. Maybe king h8 wasn't necessary. Alright, so he's going this way, hitting the knight like that. Could retreat the knight, block with the queen, also defending the knight again. With the queens off, am I okay? I think my opponent has something to gain with the queens off. But honestly, his queen got really active. I overlooked his queenside play. If I play my rook up, he's just going to win a pawn. Can I sacrifice the pawn? Probably not with my queen, my king in the center. So this looks like the reasonable move to be playing right now. Just keeping an eye on everything. I lose my attacking prospects, but we're gonna exchange my attacking prospects for a decent position in going into an endgame. So the knight throws me in check, and I thought he was gonna capture the knight. Where shall my king step to? So the good thing about d3 is that, well, the bad thing is this knight can still check, but the good thing is that this knight has no checks because of my pawn structure. Yeah, so the good thing about these daily live games, the good thing is that I can improve upon the mistakes I made. I can fix them. So, if I play my king to a dark square, there's no more checks. There's only one dark square I can head to, and it's between my rooks, which I don't like. If I go here, I think e2 is okay. Then it's blocking my bishop, so no matter where I move, I'm going to have to deal with some problem. How about queen c2? King c2. So used to playing queen c2. No, because that's on the open c line. Alright, I'm behind in time all of a sudden. Alright, we're going to choose the least of the evils. I'm going this way, keeping my bishop active, or keeping my bishop clear to escape, avoiding all checks. Hopefully my opponent uses up a lot of time here. I can play my bishop to d3, so he's going to have to decide between... Yeah, he won't be able to play e5 because of the weak pawn here, because of the weak square here, and he will have to play e6 to defend this pawn, allowing me to play here. Or he can just keep this knight here, I guess. I don't know. There's too many possible pawn structures in this position. So what's the best way I can make use of this bishop? I've heard very strong players say before that the power of the bishops is they can trade themselves for the knight at the opportune moment. Alright, so that's cool. I could play automatically like this. Now I have h3 hitting this guy, or g2. Okay, nice. I'm very happy to see that. So I am very happy to see that. That has to be a mistake. There's no way that was a good move. Giving me f6. Also, I mean, that does a lot of bad things for my opponent. There's no threat to capture at all. Play here. How does he defend that pawn, really? I don't see it. My knight's stopping his knight from retreating to e7. There's no rook g5. I think my opponent's going to get crazy and aggressive now. Yeah, he takes. Now I have a tough decision to make. He's got his tripled pawns there. Do I have to take with my e-pawn, allowing a rook to the e-file, but keeping a good pawn structure? You know, I think that might be what I have to do. If I take with my g-pawn, I'm giving his rook too much activity, ruining my pawn structure. So I'm doing this. So his rook's playing to the e-file, guaranteed. Anybody and their mother would play that move. If he doesn't, that'll show an extreme sense of restraint, but I don't know why he wouldn't. Yeah, okay, so king. My king's pretty secure over here on f1. No, it's not secure. There's a check. Okay, well, I can't allow knight here, so this is the move. If knight f2 with a fork, that would be ugly. So he can check me all day if he wants there. My b2 pawn is a little uncomfortable, but it's nice defending c3. So once again, he still has to worry about this pawn. When I take, I'll be hitting that knight. I guess it's not so relevant. But after I take... I don't know. I have a fork coming his way. With knight f6 if he's not careful. So taking that pawn is going to be great, making knight f6 that much better, because I'll also be hitting this pawn. My opponent has some tough choices to make here. Getting down on time. So yeah, I think the theme of this game has been pawn structure. Alright, he's got his two knights in some dangerous checking spots. I guess he found a way to defend the f-pawn. So that was a great move. So, good news is I can play rook to d1, defending against knight d2, hitting the knight. So this bishop here is very anxious to take this pawn. My opponent seems, like I said, they seem to be going a little bit crazy now. They had no choice, I suppose. As I mentioned earlier, they had to, you know, they couldn't just let me take and then be better with an attack. They had to attack themselves. But their plan was only a few moves deep, I expect. Unless, of course, there's stuff that I don't see, which is entirely possible. Maybe a rook sack, rook takes pawn, pawn takes rook, knight there, king moves, knight there, I don't know. Just some ideas. Trying to win my rooks. Trying to win a rook and two pawns for a piece and a rook. There's some dicey tactics here, but from the looks of it, I'm okay. So the pressure's on my opponent to find something aggressive and winning here, because otherwise I'm going to just leave them with a terrible pawn structure, down a pawn, down the minor exchange, as some call it, the bishop for the knight for the bishop. I mean, I'm not that extreme. I don't think that the knight's that much worse than the bishop. Certainly in this position, though. I'm not really a bishop fiend. All right. Is there a plan behind that move? Before I just go take this pawn now, finally, I need to see. No, there really isn't, is there? That was purely defensive, just saving the knight. So they attacked and then retreated. Just like Napoleon, if you guys know your history. So I'm attacking this knight. Thanks to the removal of that defender. Opponent's down on time. If I win this game, I'll get a nice bunch of rating points, getting closer to 2,000. Now you guys, I hope you don't expect me to win every one of these games, every one of these daily chess series, but so far it's looking good for me. So yeah, I think so far what I can learn from this match, I think I did make a couple mistakes early on, even though it wasn't punished. When there was plenty of time on my clock, I became too attached to my time advantage. I wasn't willing to give some time back. So you know how in chess, when you have one advantage, you can kind of trade it for another? Well, what I needed to do was trade my time advantage to find the right move. So you can exchange a time advantage really for greater accuracy, which is kind of obvious, but that you can do that, but something to consider, you know? Being ahead on time, you can get a better position. Alright, so now he's just going into suicide mode. Which rook is better? I suppose I can... If I take this rook, he takes with his king. Maybe I don't even take a rook and I just take with my bishop. No, that's bad because then he goes down there. That's not bad, actually. So what would I rather do? Win a rook and lose my knight, or win a pawn and a rook and lose my bishop? No, I'm just gonna play safe. I'm not gonna worry about winning another pawn now, since I'm gonna be up so much material. Sad to see this knight go, but I need to cash in. Well, let's just see if he takes with the rook. Yeah, he did. Cool. So if I take, does his knight have any moves? Nope. The bishop's controlling his c knight pretty well. And if this knight moves, I can always get my rook here on h6. So the last the last item on my agenda will be... I was gonna say I need to play my king to g2 to get my rook out, but then he would take... Oh, but now he moves his king. So maybe this is possible once again. I'm hesitant to move to any other square because it gives him checks with the knights. Maybe I just squirm my rook out. Also, I could just lose the bishop and just take the knight. Because having these two knights is a good defensive piece structure, I'll call it. Is rook b6 good? No, I don't want to give up the d file. I'm going to get my rook out. Take advantage of my material advantage. Alright, here comes trouble. Oh, I can just take. And his knight's still pinned. I'm going to make my life as easy as possible. Try to make this a smooth path to victory. So now he doesn't have that nice knight structure where the knights are protecting each other, protecting some pawns. I got 4 times as much time on my clock as my opponent. Alright, so I can't automatically play my rook to d2 because of the fork. My opponent may be hoping for that. So no need to play b4, prompting his knight to go where it wants to go. So that knight's doing a number of things against me, really. How about I move my king here now? So just maintaining pressure on his position, freezing up his pieces. Eventually I probably will play b4. Oh, I can win the knight now. Nice playing, May. Maylan from Vietnam. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you on my next episode of Almost Daily Live Chess.